Children nowadays need attachment, and they need connection, and they need bonding, and they need somebody to listen and to try their best to understand them. And no, we will not be able to understand them in the way that everyone else understands them. There is no graduate degree in learning how to be a parent. There is no textbook that is the absolute Bible of how to be a parent for this particular child. And so for us just to judge one person's parenting style over another, it's not fair.
And I feel like that's when you're actually able to impact the most people, is when you're just, and obviously with our professions, there's some degree of self-disclosure that's not appropriate. But just in general, where you lead with your real raw shit, I think that's when you can really help. Today's guest is Dr. Samantha Saltz, otherwise known as Dr. Sam. I am so excited for you guys to get a little bit of wisdom from this amazing psychiatrist who has helped me ground myself more times than I can count. The conversation goes through motherhood all the way to infertility and beyond, and I think you will find it extremely enjoyable and hopefully valuable. Let's have cake with Dr. Sam. All right. Well, I'm so excited you're here today, and really just, you've really helped ground me as a mom numerous times. So I'm excited to share you with the listeners.
The sentiment is mutual. You've grounded me as a mom, and the fact that you kind of do it all, I just envy left and right. So the sentiment's mutual. I appreciate being here. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So let's start off maybe just letting the listeners know who you are, what is the magic of Dr. Sam, and what you do.
Okay. All right. So I'm Dr. Samantha Saltz. I am a double board certified child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist. I'm originally from Highland Park, Illinois, which is a suburb outside of Chicago. Very Midwest at heart, born and raised. I came here for a 7-year medical program at University of Miami, and then I never left. I love what I do. I love working with patients. I love hearing their stories, and it's truly what keeps me going in and out every single day. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to work with children and families and to try and make a difference in everyone's life.
Amazing. I've heard it said before, and I'm probably going to botch it, but it's something like, I'm obviously in the mental health field also, and it's something like this field doesn't find you, you find it, or the opposite. You don't find this field, it finds you. Do you feel like that? Like this has just kind of found you, or did you aspire to be a psychiatrist?
I never thought in a million years this would be what I would be doing. It was the last thing I thought I would be doing. And what happened was, when I was a kid, I either wanted to be a doctor or a teacher. Okay. And my mom said to me, well, if you want to be a doctor or a teacher, you could combine both and you can teach medicine. And so I said, okay, I'll do that. So I went on the path of, trying to get into medical school and an accelerated program. And I was lucky enough and blessed enough to have some mentors that kind of took me under their wing. And I got accepted into, out of high school into this program. And while in medical school, I loved everything. I loved OBGYN. I loved pediatrics. I loved dermatology. I loved everything. But I loved more than anything talking to the patients, hearing their stories, and finding out what their life was about. And that to me was more fulfilling than anything. And I said, well, if I like talking to patients more than anything, which I know you do too, why wouldn't I just go into mental health? And that's what happened.
And why psychiatry and not psychology?
So when I went on the medical career path, that kind of just dictated everything. So I was going to medical school. I was in medical school already. I got exposed to everything. And so I knew I was going to be a doctor. I just didn't know what kind of doctor yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So word on the street is that you have a way with troubled teens. And I feel like that's just kind of an innate thing. Like, I feel like I speak the teen language. Do you feel like it's something you've learned from working with teenagers, or is it just natural for you?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And I feel like more so than anything, children nowadays need attachment. And they need connection, and they need bonding, and they need somebody to listen and to try their best to understand them. And no, we will not be able to understand them in the way that everyone
Right.
else understands them. But I think that someone really trying to get to know them and hear them and listen to them, that's what makes you connect with these kids, these adolescents, more than anything. And
I
that's where
agree.
your gift is.
Yeah. And I feel that, right? Like I've done different jobs in my life and I feel like I'm really in my lane now with working with teens. But I've also met other psychiatrists and therapists along my journey. And I haven't found that to be the case with all, especially psychiatrists. Often it's short sessions and less like deep. So I just find you to be a little bit of a unicorn that way. And I just feel like that's probably something that comes from within.
So I think that I find it's not, you have the same thing. It's that these are people.
Right.
These are stories. These are people's most deepest, darkest secrets. And we have been privileged with them like nobody else has.
Right.
And we just have to keep on remembering, what if we were in their shoes? What if this was our deepest, darkest secrets? And we're choosing who we're going to tell them to.
Right.
Like the fact that they chose us is a privilege. It's an honor. It's unbelievable. It really is.
It is. I love that. I think so, it's really popping out there. Like THC is more potent than ever. I feel like anxiety is like peaking, so much pressure on these kids. Like, I just don't feel like as a kid I had that much pressure. I mean, certainly I wasn't a great student, so academically I just didn't feel the pressure. But are you seeing anything more now than like you saw maybe a decade ago? Like, is there anything more prevalent?
So I feel a few things. Obviously, depression, anxiety,
Yeah.
self-harm now is pretty big. And a lot of adolescents don't have the coping skills and the tools needed to go through day-to-day stressors of life, breakups with boyfriends or girlfriends, failing a test,
Right.
having parents that are going through a divorce, being afraid that they're going to be not a part of the in crowd.
Right.
And they don't have the tools to deal with that. And that's because they've been addicted to social media. They've gotten the dopamine rush from social media.
Yep.
And then what ends up happening is they don't know what to do with these emotions besides go online, see that they're not being included in whatever the social outings are, which just exacerbates the existing depressions, feelings of sadness, feelings of loneliness and abandonment, and makes them want to turn to themselves rather than positive influences
Right.
to hurt themselves.
What do you think? So social media, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
huge problem.
Yes.
In my opinion also. What else? Like, what do you think about the parenting culture? Because certainly, and I'm not saying this from a judgment place because I've just done a shitty job in this area, but what else? What do you think parenting wise that we could do better?
So I think that I say to all parents, we are all trying our best,
Yes.
myself
We
included.
sure
We really are.
Yeah.
And we can still do better.
Yes.
Okay. And there is no graduate degree in learning how to be a parent.
Right.
There is no textbook that is the absolute Bible of how to be a parent for this particular child. And so for us just to judge one person's parenting style over another, it's not fair. Right. So I think part of it is that we have to create a validating environment for ourselves as moms.
Yes, totally.
In order to create a validating environment for our kids. Right. If we're hard on ourselves 24/7 saying that, we suck, we didn't do a good enough job, we overreacted, yes, that may all be true.
Right.
And we still need to validate all the good things that we're doing instead of constantly putting ourselves down.
And sometimes you're just, whether it was shitty or not, sometimes that's all you've got in that moment based on whatever the experience is that you're going through as a person.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
We're trying.
We are. And I also think the parents of kids with mental health, it almost should just be called something different because like sometimes it doesn't feel like fucking parenting. You know what I mean? Like it is a different thing. And you get a a different reaction from the world, based on sometimes ignorance. Parenting a kid that struggles. My daughter has pretty severe OCD, and going through like middle school with her was so difficult because the parents didn't understand her and didn't understand my parenting. She required something different than her twin brother, but people looking in who don't have information or education, react, differently based on their experience probably. So I think parents of kids who have mental health struggles is just such a unique and different thing. And that's where I think you help so much, that I don't think you totally get how much you help in that area, because if you're a mom struggling like that, you feel very alone in that space, and when you run into anybody who seems like they get it, you're just like,
Yes. I mean, the truth of the matter is unfortunately, our society still does have a stigma against mental health. They don't look at child mental health akin to the way they would look at child diabetes type 1.
Right.
Or a child heart attack or childhood cancer, right?
Yeah.
It has a stigma, they look at it sometimes in a way of, well, what did they do wrong? Meaning, what did the parents do wrong? Or
right.
what's going on with that kid? And the truth of the matter is there's a chemical etiology here. And if people
right.
don't understand that at this point, I don't know what other data you need to know that medication can be helpful for certain children. Therapy is taught to and shown to change neuroplasticity in the brain at times.
Right.
And we need to be able to utilize the resources we have, both pharmacologically and psychotherapeutically, in order to help these kids. We, as a society, need to be open-minded. Right. And if we're not open-minded, no one will be. And our children won't be. And they're the ones who are going to need it more than anything because of social media and the internet. And
it's even more prevalent now.
100%.
I also think it's missed a little bit, because we sort of, as a society, measure people's success in one particular way. So we talk as moms, where's your kid going to college? What are their achievements, let's say? I remember one time my daughter, I was dropping her off at volleyball, and she had a panic attack she was young and she was going through all these things, and she was so upset and felt so different. And I remember thinking, you are so far ahead of these kids. There is nobody in this gym when I drop you off that is more of a badass than you. You've just overcome a total morning of anxiety and you're showing up for life. She's worlds ahead of any woman she will encounter as an adult. Mm-hmm. But that's not how you're perceived. You know what I mean? So I feel like as parents, we have to move towards more mental health awareness and celebrate kids for whatever that success looks like, because success for her didn't look academic. It looked like overcoming OCD, which is bigger than going to Yale. I was alongside it. I know, you know what I mean?
100%.
So I look at her and I think, holy shit, she's amazing. But then I look back on how many years we both struggled with her identity and what it looked like, So it's I just feel like we should celebrate these kids more.
We have to, but let's take a minute there. You described your daughter as, potentially struggling with some OCD and overcoming that, and that being more of an achievement than anything. And I agree with you. But what you missed was that was also an achievement as a mom.
Yes.
And you created a validating environment for her so she was able to overcome her OCD. And you need to create a validating environment for yourself in order to say, damn, I'm badass. Yeah. I did it. Yeah. I raised an awesome, awesome, awesome kid.
Right.
And I think that I struggle with that too. Why the hell is it that we're able to recognize those strengths in other moms, but then we look at ourselves and we're like, oh, will it ever end? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, will it ever end?
Well, yeah. And we're freaking exhausted and we look like shit. We feel like shit. We're, noshing off of chicken nuggets and mac and cheese and, telling our kids not to have soda, but we're, loading up on the caffeine ourselves.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is hard. It's hard to do it all. Speaking of that, how has this career impacted you as a mom?
Oh my God. It's so funny because it's funny because my poor kids,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like, I go out and about and, you know, my kids are kids. They
Right.
act out, they misbehave, they make mistakes, they make me want to pull my hair out of it. I mean, they're kids.
Right.
And they're also the love of my life and the most amazing thing to me. And, you know, we love them more than anything in the world.
Right.
But I feel, and maybe it's my own hang up, that there's a double standard because I go and I see patients everywhere, okay? Everywhere. And when my kids are acting out and being, you know, the ages that they are, I'm like, oh my God, my patients are going to think that I'm the worst mother ever. Oh my God, like I'm held to a different standard.
Right.
And that for me, I don't know why, it sucks. Like it really sucks.
Totally. But it's like, it almost should be perceived the opposite. Like I have felt that pressure too.
Yes.
I mean, I'm coaching teenagers all the time. And then my teenagers over here are acting crazy. So I have felt like that too. But I almost try to tell myself the opposite. Like I'm equipped to handle the teenagers in this house as crazy as they may act, because they're going to act like they act.
Yeah.
Based on my experience and my education, and lucky for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do feel that way in the world though. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, my son's struggling right now, and it is bizarre because I'm literally running an adolescent treatment facility. So it's like people are probably in my mind, they're thinking, Jesus, why can't she just help the kid in her house? You know, but it doesn't really work like that.
Right. And so that's where I have to reframe my mindset constantly. And I'm like, you know, I say to my patients, I'm like, I can tell you what to do with your kid left and right. I can give you the skills. I said, but implementing this is much easier said than done. This is hard shit. I deal with the hard shit. And, you know, I get it. I go through the sleepless nights, the stress,
Right.
worrying about your child, you know, having some kind of a regression, you know, celebrating their achievements, excited for them with their achievements, and the roller coaster of parenting and life that we all have to go through. It's hard shit. It's like really hard shit.
But I think that is the thing, that is the magic of Dr. Sam, because you really feel it. And I think you get there because of the relationship you have at home also. You know what I mean? Because I actually worked with a psychiatrist years ago who didn't have kids, and that's all fine, except for when you're talking about kids, it makes it a little bit tough. And she would give me these things to implement for my daughter. There were charts, and they were smart, you know, like these were super good ideas. But my daughter was just like middle fingers up right out of the gate. And she just couldn't understand why I couldn't just implement it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you haven't had a kid at home not doing something, you don't really deeply like understand, or it's hard to imagine why this just wouldn't work. And it's just not, it just sometimes doesn't.
Right. It just sometimes doesn't work. I agree with you. It's funny you say that because, you know, not to get too much into me, but there was a time when I was a child psychiatrist and I didn't have kids. And I wanted them. I wanted them so freaking desperately. And everyone would look at me and be like, you know, oh, like, are you a mom? And I remember thinking to myself, like, no, but I want to be desperately. And we had a very long journey with that. So I finally just came out and I got confident with myself, and I'm like, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to say it like it is. And I'm like, oh, we're using a surrogate. And we did. We went through the process of getting the surrogate.
For both kids?
You're gonna hear the story for both. Well, for my first one, and then you'll hear what happened. So we went through the process of getting a surrogate. We went through fertility treatments. I got very sick during that whole process. Whatever. That's not important. The point of the matter is that I had started some medication for something else. We had signed with the surrogate. The surrogate was supposed to get the embryos transferred within 2 weeks of me finding out that I was pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that is Haley. That's one of our daughters. And she is a gift from God. And then my son he like this just came.
So
but
surrogate carried one.
No, so we ended up like we didn't actually transfer.
Got it. Okay.
But
I did in vitro, so I'm very familiar.
Yeah, exactly. So we didn't actually end up having to transfer, but we did everything. We did the IUI, we did the IVF, we did the transferring to me, we had the miscarriages, we went through all of it, which that's a whole other aspect of mental health that I think that a lot of women go through, like not being able, like it feels like,
and with very little help.
It was horrible. And it was
horrible.
It was horrible. And I remember, so we'd end up not like having to transfer the embryo, but we literally had her, we transferred the money, we did everything. Okay. And I remember thinking to myself, like, you know, I'm a doctor. I went through medical school. Like I, was top of whatever, but I can't do what like a normal woman does. I cannot get myself pregnant.
Oh.
And that like had its own toll on personal mental health. And I think that, a fertility journey for some women is also something that's like not talked about. It's taboo to talk about.
Mm-hmm. And you're so alone in it.
You feel so alone in it. And that's where, I was like, hey, like we're all human. We all put on our pants one leg at a time. Like my mom and dad would always say to me, everyone poops on the toilet the same way, right. Like literally. And so I just looked at my patients and I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to say it like it is. And I just I'm using a surrogate because we had the surrogate.
And I feel like that's when you're actually able to impact the most people is when you're just, and obviously with our professions, there's some degree of self-disclosure that's not appropriate. Yes. But just in general, where you lead with your real raw shit, I think that's when you can really help.
Right. And it's not, we have to always remember that, the people we work with, they're people. And they have to remember that
we're people.
We're people too.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes like the mental health stuff, it's not easy. Dealing with a child cutting themselves or having to go to an inpatient unit or attempting suicide or, the things that we deal with. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's hard. It's really hard shit. But that's where we need parents that we work with to know that we're part of their village. And as hard as it is for us to deal with it, the parents are going through it. And it's living hell for them.
It is living hell.
It is. It's living hell. And we're trying our best and we can all try harder. Yeah. And I think that raising kids it's a journey. Our kids are miracles. Mm-hmm. My children are miracles. Being able to have candid conversations about life is a blessing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's best just to kind of take a step back and appreciate that as tough as the shit is, we're lucky we got shit.
We're lucky we got shit.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that this went that direction. I didn't know that about your
I know you did it. Yeah.
I originally, when I got my master's, I wanted to be an infertility therapist based on my experience because it was so lonely.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, I was 32. I'm 51 now, so I'm sure they have advanced some of the stuff. But I mean, I was so alone in it, like parked in my car, just a mess from the hormones. And then I did it again 11 years ago for Ford. And at that time, they made you go to a therapy session with your husband. Yeah. So we went to one session for $1 gazillion, and it was like kind of stupid, really, because we needed more than one. But of course. I was happy to know they at least had advanced a little bit in that area, because the first time I did it 18 years ago, there was no prep like, hey, you might lose your shit because we're going to pump you full of all these hormones. Like nothing. It was just like, and I was so set on having kids because I came off of also a miscarriage, and I was just headstrong and, just blinders on, but literally no prep. And I just think there's so many women out there in this infertility struggle that need to be seen and heard. And it's like such a journey.
It is a journey. I mean, there's that. And then I was working when I was going through this whole fertility shit. And, you know, somebody had said to me, which I thought was so insensitive, like when you're going through the infertility shit, just expect everything to not go the way you want it to go. And they're kind of right.
They're kind of right.
They're kind of right. So I remember I would, you know, get a call from the doctor being like, oh, you know, something didn't work. And I remember I'd like break down crying because I'm pumped up with hormones and I'd have to see a patient. So I had Visine in my purse. So I'd be like, this. I'm like, okay, I got it together. I had another patient. I'd cry for a couple seconds and then I do it. And it's like, you know, the hormonal fluctuations that go with like menopause and thyroid disorders and fertility issues and pregnancy and then after pregnancy. And people underestimate that for women in general. It's just like
we're showing up.
Yeah, we are showing up. Yeah. And like, let alone those women who just like become crazy bitches around their period.
Yes.
Like, and you feel like it's out of your control. Yeah. And it's like, can somebody please just understand that I don't want to act like a raging bitch? Like, I don't want to. So I think
that's a whole thing. Like showing up for life as a woman during chaos is so difficult. Like showing up as a mom is one thing.
Yes.
Right? I cried in the shower. I mean, I just cried in the car behind my glasses. So showing up as a mom, but showing up for work.
Yes.
Like I remember my first husband left when I was pregnant. So I spent my pregnancy alone, but I was a pharmaceutical rep.
Wow.
So I would have to drive, and my dad, bless his heart, would drive with me sometimes and just read the New York Times in the passenger seat. And I would show up at the office, and then I had to, you know, put it on and sell the product.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think people underestimate women and moms because being a woman and a mom has its challenges, but doing it when you are in crisis is unfucking believable. And I feel like just actually in this moment, I would like to honor both of us.
We rock. We all women, we rock. And like the fact we can do it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we also need our rock and we need our circle. And, you know, I'm lucky that my husband has supported me throughout all of my journey and our journey together. Yeah. And I've got two amazing parents and a twin sister that, you know, a grandmother. I got my circle.
Yeah.
And
we both have a Josh.
We both have a Josh. Yeah, we both have a Josh. We do. We both have a Josh.
We are lucky.
We do. We are.
And parents too. I mean, super lucky for that. This is a great time to talk about this. I actually, anytime in my life I've been sad or I've gone through difficulty, my dad, who's like the love of my life, bakes me a cake. Aww. And that's kind of, and also through my sobriety journey, you know, I can't drink wine or escape in that way. So I've learned, whether it's healthy or not, to escape through sugar. So that is why we have a lovely cake here today.
It is so freaking pretty.
Yes. So my mom actually baked this one.
Oh my God.
But that's part of that. In my book, Cake for Dinner, that's part of what you learn when you're, I don't know, in chapter 4 or 5, I think, that anytime I was sad, my dad baked me a cake. So as a nod to him, I named the book and the podcast Cake for Dinner. So we're going to taste this.
I love it.
And I actually reached out to the moms and I got 2 questions that they want me to ask you.
Okay.
So I'm going to cut us a slice of cake and then.
I love it.
And by the way, I've been on a keto diet for like a month and a half. So I might need to be alone with the sugar.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. I love it. I can't wait.
Yeah. So. But I love that you have the support of your parents.
I'm so excited. It's so delicious. I can't wait.
And she baked this like 4 days ago because she's going out of town. So it's been frozen. But she's the baker. And
you know what?
She said that's right.
I'm so excited to eat this. I can't even tell you. This looks delicious. And I love carrot cake. My grandmother makes a really good carrot cake too. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. This is so special.
Yeah.
Taste. Oh my God, it's really good. Like, what's there not to like? This is outrageous.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes you have to.
So good.
Okay.
Having our.
Let me get these questions. Okay, mom number 1. She says, my 10-year-old son is at sleepaway camp and really struggling with anxiety. He's begging to come home and I'm torn. I don't want to rescue him too quickly, but I also don't want to ignore real distress. How do I know when to get him and when to let him work through it?
So
that's a good question.
It is a good question, first of all. But that's where I said it is a good question. That's where I said that there's no book that gives the answer for every child. Right. And the answer is it depends. Okay. Right. So how do you know that the child is really struggling? Is it that the child's writing you letters? Is it the camp called you and said that the child's really struggling? Is it the child's regressing? Is he not sleeping? Depending on the age, is he wetting his bed? Okay. So even a 10-year-old sometimes can regress and start wetting the bed. Okay. Are they having nightmares and screaming in the middle of the night?
And that's a different level of distress than I'm nervous.
That's a very different level than distress. Or is it that your child is just writing you a letter saying, I'm not happy at camp.
I don't like it here.
I don't like it here, and that kind of thing. Part of it is there's a fine line between rescuing your child, enabling your child, and fostering independence and growth. Okay. Right. We, of course, want to rescue our child when they're in imminent harm. Right. Okay. Of course, we want to do that. Okay. We rarely want to enable them. Okay.
This is where it gets hard.
Now, fostering independent growth.
Right.
Okay. Means creating a validating environment by recognizing the emotions that they're struggling with, the feelings of anxiety, the feelings of nervousness, okay, the feelings of separation, and encouraging them to work through it, encouraging them to put themselves in positions that make them happy, being around certain friends, being around certain counselors, developing an attachment with somebody who isn't just you. It's okay for a child to have a mentor, and really good for a child to have a mentor that isn't just mom or dad, right? So the thing is, if we just go in there and we grab him, okay, and he's not in, real crisis mode, and we just rescue him, we're not giving him the opportunity to foster a sense of independence for himself. Right. And in fact, we're indirectly sending a message to the child that we don't believe
you're not capable, right?
That they're capable of continuing the summer and being independent in the summer. Okay. So
that's a good point.
Right. And we don't want to send them that message, right?
Right. It's almost like robbing them of the opportunity to develop the skill that they're probably going to need in life.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like.
That's hard though.
It's hard. So hard.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. Parenting
I really feel like
so freaking hard.
I don't regret much in my life, but if I could do anything over, I would rescue less. But in it's tough. And sometimes I think we rescue because it's easier too, just just put out the fire.
So should have, would have, could have. I always tell people let's not should on ourselves, not would have ourselves, not could on ourselves. Okay. Yeah. Let's try and avoid all that, because the truth of the matter is it does no good. We make decisions in the moment based on what we feel is right given the circumstances then. Okay. So how we would react may be different if we knew it was going to be a different set of outcomes. Okay. Right. So we have to validate the fact that we made a decision. Yeah. We have to own the decision and go with it.
Yeah.
And then whether it's my husband, this is something that I love about Josh. He has a quote from a guy that he kind of looked up to. And there's 3 decisions in life. There's the right decision, the wrong decision, and no decision. The only decision that's the wrong decision is no decision, because you learn that the wrong decision was the wrong decision. The right decision is the right decision, and no decision teaches you nothing.
Nothing.
I think it was Sam Saltz who said that. I could be wrong. He's out in here in Boca too.
I like that.
But
again, we're just doing our best.
We're just doing our best.
Yeah.
And that's our best. Our best is our best, and we can always do better.
Yes. All right. The last question before we wrap it up. My daughter bites her nails constantly until they bleed, actually. Is this just a bad habit, or could it be a sign of anxiety? And how do I know if it's something that actually needs treatment or possibly even medication?
Okay, so the biting the nails thing.
Yes.
Again, not one answer for every child. Biting nails can be a sign of anxiety. Biting nails can be a sign of boredom. biting nails can be a sign of just a habit and just trying to fidget, okay? It can be a sign actually of wanting to move around with ADHD and just like kind of do that kind of thing, okay? Simple things. There's a bad tasting nail polish that we all know about that you can just put on your kids' nails, and that's relatively harmless to see if it helps, okay? Depending on the age of the child, is it truly a biting the nails thing or is it a sucking of the thumb thing? Okay, so I don't know. Is it a self-soothing mechanism?
Right.
Or is it anxiety? If it is anxiety, find out when the child is actually doing it and pay more attention as a mom. Is she doing it when she's just watching TV and chilling? Is she doing it when she's, trying to access a group of friends? Is she doing it when she's finding out that she's being yelled at because she didn't put something away or got an F on a test or whatever? So trying to understand your child better sometimes means look at the underlying cause of whatever the behavior is. So is the underlying cause of whatever the behavior is anxiety, what is the situation that the behavior is actually happening in? And that'll help you ascertain one way or the other. But if you ever have a concern, just have a conversation with a therapist or a child psychiatrist or a child psychologist or, get some feedback. It never hurts.
Yeah, I love that. So if that is the case and somebody wants to find you, how would someone find you?
Okay, so we have a practice here in Boca Raton. We are also licensed in a few other states. Okay. There are 5 doctors in my practice. We are all psychiatrists. We have no social workers or nurse practitioners or psychologists. So it is only medical doctors in our practice. www.drsam.com. It's DOCTOR Sam.com, spelled out. Okay. And 561-510-9150 is the best way to reach us. But awesome. I can't thank you enough for being the amazing mom, friend, colleague that you are. And I want to thank you for making a difference in my life and the lives of children each and every day. You shape the world and it takes a village. And thank you for being part of my village.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. And I feel the same way. So I think this podcast is so important for moms to come together and also just to be not perfect. And we're just all out here trying our best. So 100%. Thanks so much, Dr. Sam.
Thank you.